Hey everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to another round of the Arena Open Day 1 event, the very high-stakes version of Premier Draft. Just as usual, you play till 7 wins or 3 losses, but 7 wins in this gets you access to Day 2 of the Arena Open, where there are thousands of dollars of prizes potentially on the line. So without further ado, what do we want to pick one pack one out of here? I think it's between these two fantastic mono-colored commons. We have Ballista Watcher in red, quite a great activated ability on this card, especially at nighttime, being able to shut off potentially multiple blockers if you have 6 mana while pinging away small creatures, just really good. And then Parasitic Grasp, a great cheap removal spell. Normally I would say Parasitic Grasp is just always going to be better than Watcher by a little bit. However, black has been really heavily drafted today. I think people have agreed it's pretty much the strongest color here. At least it's the most highly drafted color. So if we want to kind of read the draft pod, we could take Ballista Watcher here, thinking that it might be more open on average, but I think I'm still going to take Parasitic Grasp. I think it's just an excellent cheap removal spell, and we do see some great black cards here as well. 2 great 4-mana cards, Diregraph Scavenger and Bloodcrazed Socialite. Socialite really good at just jamming in with a little bit of evasiveness with Menace, and Diregraph Scavenger good at shutting down any graveyard synergies and getting a little bit of life drain, and just blocking anything no matter how big it is. So I like both of these a lot. Probably between these two for me. Other notable cards here, I really like Falconwrath Celebrants, Lantern Bearer, and Heron of Hope, all of those being excellent commons, and the best uncommon here being the Lambholter Raconteur. Can be quite a big creature and deal a lot of damage to your opponent throughout the game. I think I'm going to go with a Bloodcrazed Socialite here. This card has made me a believer ever since I actually read the text on the card. I know in my first couple drafts, I hadn't read everything in the set. I didn't know all the cards, so I would just pass these because it's such a wall of text. I was like, all right, whatever, that's too much to read. But at this point, I have read the card, I've played with the card. The card is good. Very, very good. All right, black is still pretty decently open here, so I think we can take a Diregraph Scavenger or a Blood Fountain, both being quite solid. Blood Fountain I have had some bad experiences with recently, just running up against a lot of Bleed Dries and Diregraph Scavengers and Flame Blast Bolts, all kinds of stuff that exiles my creatures and gets them out of the graveyard, so I haven't been having a lot of success with Blood Fountain's recursion as of late, so I'm actually just going to take Scavenger over the Blood Fountain, but I do still like the Blood Fountain. Like, if we get it somewhat late, I'll still play it. I'm just not going to take it super highly anymore. So I'm going to take Diregraph Scavenger here. A little bit weaker than like Kindly Ancestor or Falconwrath Celebrants being the other great commons, but by taking another black card here, we're trying to cut the people to our left out of black to make sure it remains open for us in pack 2, so we can hopefully stick to our guns there. Alright, so there's some good blue and some good white here. It looks like blue and white are both equally open, and of course the color combo for that reason would be pretty open here, so Brian Comer's still in the pack. But again, with 3 black cards to start with, we can't really go for the 2-color gold off-color card here. We kind of have to choose between, do we want to push into black or white? Parasitic Grasp and Diregraph Scavenger, these are both cards that are going to work really well in black-white because they give us a little bit of life gain for that synergy there. And we don't really have anything that synergizes massively well in blue-black, so I kind of like just taking the great white removal spell here, Sigarda's Imprisonment, but Drogskull Infantry is a great 2-drop creature as well. If we wanted to push into blue, I don't think there's a huge argument against that. I mean, there's good blue cards still in here, Lunar Rejection, Stitched Assistant, Chill of the Grave. But if we wanted to move into blue, not sure which one of those I would take, to be honest. They're all pretty comparable, pretty decent. Alright, so what do we have here? Archglow of Thraben's nice. By itself, it's a 3-mana 3/2 that surveils 1 when it dies, lets you look at the top, put it in the grave if you don't want it, and if you do happen to have a lot of zombies, it's going to be very good, potentially drawing you cards when it or another zombie you control dies. So definitely at its best in blue-black, but still good in black-white. And again, the Blood Fountains, I'm going to start taking them a lot later than I used to, just because there have been a lot of things that have been exiling my stuff from the graveyards lately. So a second Sigarda's Imprisonment seems pretty good to me, but we could also take a Gluttonous Guest, which will be which will be nice, especially in black-white. Helps trigger our Courier Bats life gain abilities, our Markov Purifier's life gain abilities. We don't have any of those yet, and we have a little bit of life gain already with Parasitic Grasp and Diregraph Scavenger, so I don't want to go too massively hard on life gain here, and just take another fantastic removal spell, I think. Alright, now I'll take a Blood Fountain, although we could take like a Binding Geist here in case we get pushed to like blue-black zombies, because we do have that Archghoul for the blue-black Am I that low on Blood Fountain? We've seen like 3 or 4 Blood Fountains in pack 1 so far, so it is not that unlikely that we just wheel one later anyway. Yeah, I'll speculate on a Binding Geist. Maybe we end up in blue-black. There's even a possibility that blue-white is wide open and we wheel that blue-white card. Pretty unlikely, but this leaves us open to that as well. We just move into 2 Cigar's Imprisonment, Binding Geist, start off with a blue-white Disturb deck there. We'll see. Alright, so now Persistent Specimen is great with exploit cards. We don't have any exploit cards yet, but it is going to be really good with them. Cards like Mind Leech Ghoul get a lot better even with just a Specimen or 2, so I kind of like taking Specimen before I take the Ghoul kind of cards. But we could also take a blue card again like Siphon Essence. I'm not very high on Piercing Light, especially when we already have 2 Sigarda's Imprisonment to kind of kill anything. This only kills the small stuff. The fact that it scries is really nice though. Yeah, I'm going to take Specimen. Could definitely see an argument for Siphon Essence, but probably not Mind Leech Ghoul there. Alright, Chill of the Grave and Monstrosity are my favorite cards in this pack. Servitor is fine as filler. Blood tokens are decently valuable. Not like super valuable to where this is like a great card, but sometimes it makes the cut and it does its thing. So yeah, Chill of the Grave or Dreadlight Monstrosity, both pretty good. I think I go for Chill here, because if we are blue-black, we're going to have enough zombies. This is going to be 2 mana most of the time. Now, pretty easy to take a Dreadlight Monstrosity here. I don't really like equipment in this format, so I don't really play around with Groom's Finery or anything. We could take Adamant Will as like a white combat trick, but I don't think black-white's really the color pair that excels off of combat tricks. That's really a green-white thing where they're very good, because they help trigger training and all that stuff. So I'm not going to play a Mind Rot effect like Aim for the Head because it's such a bad top deck late game. If you like going for that kind of risky plays, it is really good when your opponent's down to 2 cards in hand, but just not my cup of tea. I'll just take a 2-drop here and make sure we get some cheap creatures in the deck. Alright, Chill of the Grave here. I mean, we could take Steelclad Serpent in case we end up in blue-white, but that seems pretty unlikely here. We've got pretty good black at this point. Yeah, I'm just going to take another Chill of the Grave. And really late Scattered Thoughts. This is a pretty excellent draw spell. 4 mana instant speed, dig 4 cards deep, picking the best 2 cards to put in your hand. So very good at digging for specific stuff, like when you really need removal or you really need a bomb, something like that. You can do a pretty good job digging for it here. So I'm probably taking another Bloodcraze Socialite here. Maybe is Innocent Traveler better? I don't know. There's some positions where you're really sad about the Traveler. If your opponent has a bunch of tokens out, it's never going to flip, but most of the time, this is basically a 4-mana 3/3 flyer at worst, and often your opponent will have a random human out, and this will be a 5/3 flyer. Traveler might be a bit better than Socialite. I don't know, I've definitely played with Traveler much less, so I'm not certain. I just love the versatility and the flexibility of Socialite as well, where even if it's not just hitting like an absolute truck, you're still getting a blood token, filtering through your cards, it blocks pretty decently. To trade off into something. I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and go for the Innocent Traveler. Here's just a rarer card, a card we're gonna see less often. Less redundant there. I definitely like Doom Dissenter if we end up in blue-black for exploiting. But if we end up black-white, here's Fierce Retribution for another good removal spell. And removal is really gonna push me into that color pair. That being said, we did see Scattered Thoughts. Literally 2 cards left in the pack, so even if people are drafting blue, they are passing some decent stuff quite late, so that could be a good reason to be in blue. All we really have in white is Double Imprisonment. Vampire Slayer is not a reason to be in white, but it is a card that will get played if we do end up in white. Yeah, I'll go with Doom Dissenter. It's not going to be the end of the world if we have a Doom Dissenter in our deck and we end up black-white, but it is going to be very good if we have a Doom Dissenter in our deck and we're black-blue, I think. Although the same could be said for Gluttonous Guest towards black-white. I don't know. Maybe it's guessed there. I am personally going with Dissenter. Alright, now we have Cruel Witness for moving to blue-black again. Or Bloodseeker, which is going to be fine in either color pair and excellent in black-white, because now this is triggering whenever we're gaining life. Yeah, Bloodseeker seems pretty good. This is going to be probably good even if we're not in white. Because again, we have life gain in black. We have Diregraph Scavenger and Parasitic Grasp. We also have blood token production in black off of Bloodcraze Socialite, and we could get more blood token production. Just to flip this card, turn it into a game-ending mana sink from the Blood-Soaked Reveler. Yeah, Restless Bloodseeker is going to be the pick for me here. Solid card even if we're just in black, and an excellent card if we're in black-white. All right, now we see an excellent uncommon here. Angelic Quartermaster, that I think will commit us to black-white over black-blue. 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 other target creatures. So a 5 mana 3/3 flyer, decently sized evasive threat to close out the game, and it buffs up your earlier aggressive creatures to help finish your opponent off as well. Alright, this is looking like a pretty solid deck here. And I'm probably taking Traveling Minister for the black-white life gain combos. Synergizes quite well with Restless Bloodseeker. I think that's it for now, but there are definitely other cards in the color pair that Minister synergizes very well with, like Courier Bat and stuff. And Courier Bat would be perfect to fill out this 3 mana slot in our deck. That's a bit of a gap in our creatures right now. So another Specimen, but in black-white, we're not going to have much exploit, and we actually have 0 exploit right now, so really don't think we need another Specimen. Nurturing Presence is good in blue-white. It would be probably okay in black-white, but not excellent. I guess we go with Skulking Killer. This is the kind of card you have to cross your fingers and just hope you end up in the very narrow situation where it's good, where your opponent has 1 creature out and that creature has 2 or less toughness. Obviously the card is very good in that spot, but any other spot, a 4 mana 4/2 that doesn't kill something is not super good. Alright, Kindly Ancestor is an excellent pickup for us here. We fill out that 3 mana slot with a really good card. 2/3 lifelinker, quite the roadblock for an aggressive strategy. Trades off into something and then slaps lifelink onto another card later. Super, super good. So for removal, we have Parasitic Grasp and Double Imprisonment already, so I really like our removal suite here. So I'm kind of going to take another Archghoul of Thraben over a Gift of Fangs, I think. Really don't like this card in the black-red matchup, and the fact that it doesn't kill anything super big is also a bit of a bummer, so I'm going to take the second Archghoul here. Again, fill out that 3 mana slot. Lantern of the Lost is pretty filler, but it is playable. Sometimes this shuts off your opponent's Blood Fountain, and it's going to draw a card anytime you play it. 1 mana to play, 1 mana to sack it and draw a card, so just 2 mana to cycle it away. I don't want really either of these. I'm going to slap it in the sideboard. Same with this stuff. I guess we take the blue card over the enchantment. I just really don't like the white enchantments overall in this format. Unless you're blue-white. Blue-white is literally like enchantment tribal. So you can get a ton of value. Alright, pack 3. What do we have? Honestly, not much of anything here. Very mediocre equipment. Mediocre removal at common, Gift of Fangs and Piercing Light. Could take Pointed Discussion and get some card draw in the deck. We don't really have any card draw currently, we just have blood tokens. So Pointed Discussion is good at putting us up a card by drawing 2 when we play it, and letting us get a blood token to sift away another card later. Very particularly chose Sift as my choice of words, because Sift is 3 and a blue, draw 3, discard 1. Pointed Discussion is basically the black Sift because of that blood token. Pretty nice card draw. We'll take it. Let's see what we got here. 13 creatures, 4 non-creatures. We did dirtle around in 3 colors for a long time. I think I still want more creatures mainly, and preferably some cheap ones. I guess if we have multiple Archghouls out, that's kind of funny. They do trigger each other. So we could take a 3rd Archghoul here, but I do like Twinblade Geist a good amount too. It's really fun with blood tokens. You can find lethal out of nowhere with it, discarding it and then slapping Double Strike onto something. Yeah, I think we want more creatures here. Fierce Retribution is fine. I think it's a little worse than Imprisonment, but we already have 3 removal spells. We could use a bit more, but I don't really want to overload my deck with too many removal spells and not enough creatures. I think that was one of the flaws in our last deck. We're presented with a rough pick here. I wish these 2 were just 1 pack away because I'd love to have both in the deck, but I think overall Markov Purifier is just going to be stronger. Potentially drawing us multiple cards. As long as it stays on the board, we get to draw 1 extra card per turn, basically, in our end step, as long as we gain life. The Courier Bat just draws us that 1 card. It picks up the 1 creature from the grave 1 time. This is a flying threat, though, which is a big deal. We don't have a ton of those. We just have Innocent Traveler and Angelic Quartermaster. I really want both of these cards, but that's pretty much impossible. I think even if I take Courier Bat, Purifier's not going to wheel here. Even if nobody else is in white-black, by the time it would be coming back around, somebody would probably just take the gold uncommon for their collection. Alright. So with more life gain synergy cards, we might want to take Gluttonous Guest now to get more ways to consistently gain life. That seems fine by me. I think Undead Butler's generally better, but now I really, really want to trigger life gain synergies all the time for cards like Bloodseeker and Purifier. Both of those, it's going to be important to gain life every turn, and Guest helps us a lot with that. So Butler is quite good, but Guest I think is better for this specific deck. Alright, now another Traveling Minister. Absolutely wonderful here. Desperate Farmer would be fine, but now we're doing good on 3 drops. We're pretty cluttered up there. And that'll be our 17th creature. That's 17 creatures. 4 non-creature spells. We just need a couple non-creature spells, and the deck is complete. Could even go with a higher creature count than 17 if we want to get really aggressive. But I don't think I want to. Beguiler's pretty slow, but it does shut down any threat your opponent has, no matter how big it is, so it is nice. I don't think I super have room for it. I don't think there's anything I would want to cut for it. I'm pretty happy with the deck as is. Maybe cut a Doom Dissenter, throw it in. That actually does seem fine, but we can do that with a Ragged Recluse too. Now let's get a Beguiler in here. Cut a Doomed Dissenter. We have no way to really sacrifice it. I don't think I'll play Geist or Statue, but Geist might be better in this deck than Beguiler is. Just get more flying threats. Gives us another option. We're just not going to play Foreboding Statue. I'll go Geist over Beguiler. We'll see about that. 17 creatures, 4 non-creatures. To keep our deck versatile, a little flexible here, we'll take a Ceremonial Knife. I don't love equipment in this format, but this one produces blood tokens even if your creature gets blocked, just whenever it deals combat damage at all. And those blood tokens make sure you keep drawing gas throughout the game, discarding any lands you flood into. Alright, and final card, Piercing Light, call it a deck. Although we could put another Piercing Light in, or another Archghoul. We don't have very many zombies. I don't think another Archghoul is going to do much for us. Yeah, we have 3 zombies total. They're kind of just standalone 3-mana 3/2s, which aren't excellent. So I'm not going to play triple Archghoul in this deck or anything. Could play an Undying Malice over a Ceremonial Knife or something. It is nice on like our flyers and stuff. Yeah, I'm not going to play an Efficient, so we'll throw it in the sideboard and consider it here when we get to deck building, but it should be some pretty fast deck building. So we'll take a look at any synergies we have for Undying Malice, potentially throw that in over the Ceremonial Knife. It's nice because it lets you like trade in your creatures pretty aggressively, and then they just come back slightly bigger to be an even bigger threat and try to kill your opponent faster. Yeah, Undying Malice would be fine in here. It's definitely great with the big flyers, like getting one of those back, especially Quartermaster. Undying Malice is ridiculous with, but most of our creatures it's just fine on. Doesn't seem like massively good. But at the same time, do we have a lot of time to dirtle around with a Ceremonial Knife in this deck? We're dumping all our mana into creatures pretty much every turn, so Knife is kind of a late game play. Yeah, maybe Malice over the Knife could be fine. I could see cutting Specimen for something as well. That's another consideration to make. Check out what's in the sideboard. Would I cut a Specimen for a Dissenter? Probably not. Cut a Specimen for an Archghoul. We've got a lot of 3-mana creatures. I don't know. We just don't really have a use for Specimen. It's just in here as a chump blocker, which is fine. It's going to be good against like green-red werewolves or green-black. Just anything with green in it, Specimen's still going to be good against, but there's going to be matchups where it's just irrelevant. Because we don't have any reason to sacrifice it or anything. We can still discard it to a blood token, which is a bit of a combo, not a super good one, but a fine combo. And if we cut it, we still have 5 creatures at 2 creatures at 1 mana, 3 creatures at 2. It's 5 creatures that cost 2 or less. Sure, let's up our curve a little bit, give us a little bit more late game power. And I think put probably like Nebelgast Beguiler in, maybe a 3/2. But I feel like I can run a Beguiler as well in this deck. I'm still on the decision between Ceremonial Knife and Undying Malice here. I think I'll keep the knife in for now. We can always change things out and reconsider later. But we have a couple of good ways to use blood tokens, not just discarding them to draw cards. We can use them for Bloodseeker to flip. We can gain life off of them with a Gluttonous Guest. And we can sacrifice them for damage with Bloodcrazed Socialite. Like, a Bloodcrazed Socialite carrying a Ceremonial Knife is a very scary threat. So there's some good uses for the knife in here. Yep. Let's go ahead and get our fancy lands all up in here. Double check our mana base and make sure Arena does not go wild with the auto-suggested lands here. But I think 9-8 seems right to me. We really want to have a Plains turn 1 for the Traveling Ministers. And we only have one card that requires double black, so we need a little less black than white in that way. Yeah, we need the white earlier in the game than we need the black, and we only need double black for one card. I guess Parasitic Grasp we need double black as well. But we need double white for Quartermaster, and we need the white early. 12 white, 11 black, yeah. Just one color has to be slightly more than the other. We'll choose white over black here, I think. And I think this is the deck. Let's see how well this one does here. Alright, here we are in round 1. No play till turn 3, but both colors and some good cards in hand. Not mulliganable. Opponent is playing green. Turn 2 they play an Evolving Wilds here. Crack hit 4. A Plains, so green, white from our opponent. Let's go for our turn 3 Archghoul of Thraben. See if this trades off with something and we draw any cards here. Well, we won't draw cards. We don't have that many zombies in our deck, but we will get to surveil with this card. I'll offer the trade for the Toxic Scorpion. That'll get that out of the way for bigger creatures later. Alright, they do take the trade here. Let's surveil. If it's a land, it's going straight to the grave. It is a land, so we're going to take action, put that in the graveyard. We got that Archghoul of Thraben value. So this is where I think the Archghoul isn't that bad, even if you don't have a ton of other zombies in your deck. And I guess we do have, like, the Diregraph Scavenger as other zombies. But sometimes it just hits a land on top when you don't need a land, and it's functionally drawn you a card. It's done the same that a blood token would have, where it got that land out of the way so you can draw your next card. So that's pretty nice. Alright, I am glad we have evasive threats in this matchup because more Death Touchers here. But good for us, the Socialite can get right around that with Menace. And I'm even going to crack this blood token to get aggressive because we have Ceremonial Knife to just replace it next turn. For now, I'm just going to sack it and play the Geist here and get more damage on this board. Start attacking around their Scorpion. But we'll certainly be slamming a Ceremonial Knife onto the board next turn, I think. Over casting the Diregraph Scavenger. Wolf Strike, the Menace card. In that case, maybe we are slamming down a Diregraph Scavenger here. Because I don't think we have any recursion in our deck. We did not actually get a Blood Fountain. So we can exile a creature from our own graveyard to drain them for some life. Yep, we've got nothing that brings things back from our grave. So drain them for some life here. We could also play Beguiler as just a bigger creature, but we don't really need to tap things down right now. 2 to equip. Yeah, I like Scavenger Knife here. Hold the land to potentially discard it at a later time. Oh, they do have a Scorpion Engrave. I completely forgot. Already forgot about the early plays this game. That's how short my short-term memory is. So they're green, white, and black. Stuck on 3 mana here. Don't know what turn this is. They're going to cast the Sheltering Boughs just to get a card draw here, digging for land. They do not hit it. Slap a Ceremonial Knife onto the Geist. Get in for extra damage. We'll attack with the Scavenger, get this Scorpion out of the way. Nothing else is going to attack into a 2/4 Death Touch and beat it. So we'll attack with a creature that can trade here. And see what we draw into. Alright, another land. We'll play land for turn then. And pass. So they're at 6 life, facing a 4/3 flyer. If they kill it without exiling it, we get a couple 1/1s back out, although there's an Honored Heirloom to exile it from our graveyard if they have the mana to kill it and use the Heirloom's ability. We'll see next turn. It's going to be their last opportunity to survive. Last opportunity to kill the Geist without giving us the 1/1s. Is that a sorcery speed ability? Yes, the Geist is a sorcery speed ability, so we'll just cast Beguiler. If this ability weren't sorcery speed, I might just hold the mana up to make 2 1/1 flyers if they kill our Geist there. I should have cracked this blood before I cast Beguiler. Still bad at using blood tokens at the opportune time because we might have drawn a better threat than the Beguiler to cast this turn. I think we would have still preferred to cast Beguiler if we drew Bloodseeker there, so that worked out fine. We didn't get punished for that choice to wait on the blood token. Alright, and our opponent does lose that game to some mana screw, unfortunately, but fortunately for us, we are 1-0 now to start things off. In it to win it from the start here. Let's go. All right. Playing against Lysander's trump card here in round 2. Thought that card was banned. That was such a dumb reference that probably nobody's going to get. That was a card in the Pokemon standard trading card game. Or the Pokemon trading card game in the standard metagame, I should say, for a while, but it got banned. It was a card that lets you shuffle your entire graveyard back into your library, basically. But in Pokemon, there's no mana cost to anything, so there are a lot of basically draw spells for free. They're called trainer cards, so you could play all of these trainers and supporters that would draw you a ton of cards with like no downside. One of the small downsides to running a boatload of card draws, sometimes you die by milling yourself, and Lysander's trump card made it so I was like, alright, whatever, I'll never mill myself. I'll be fine. So the reference has been explained. Let's get our head in the game now. Probably not a good idea to be thinking about the Pokemon trading card game while playing a very high-stakes Magic event, but that's just how my brain works. These are why I cast draw spells when I have an Aerith on board. Well, this is an aggressive start from our opponent. Ridgewolf into Hypnotist here. Hopefully, Gluttonous Guest can defend us. Do I want to gain 1 life or deal 1 damage to them? Diagraph Scavenger. Maybe I'm dealing a damage to them with Diagraph coming up. Probably not, because we're not actually draining them for life. Nothing's going to be in the graveyard. Yeah, no, I think I gain a life here with Minister, rather than deal a damage to them. Unfortunately, Minister's ability is sorcery speed, so if you want to gain the life, you have to just tap it for that there. I could have also not tapped it, and then I'm threatening to double block and kill the Ridgewolf, but if they get any blood tokens or any removal, I'm not going to have any good blocks anyway. Yeah, and they do have the removal to kill the Minister. But now that the Minister's dead, that's something to get with the Diagraph Scavenger, something to hit with it. Ooh, Markov Purifier, that's going to be great with the Gluttonous Guest here. Going to need a little bit more mana to spend the 1 for that and the 2 for the Purifier. Yeah, I think we play Scavenger here so that we can actually block and kill a Hypnotist, threaten a pretty decent block here, and drain them for some life to stay in this game. So next turn we're probably playing Purifier and then waiting to use our blood token until we can gain the life off of it, draw the extra card off of Purifier's ability. Falconwrath Celebrants from our opponent. That changes things a bit. That's pretty scary. With 2 blood tokens out, those hypnotists are going to go hog wild here. Shut off the scavenger and the guest from blocking. And I take 1,000,000 because I can't afford to block a 3/3 with a 2/3. Yep. So just crack both blood next turn. They hit for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ow. That's kind of all I have to say is ow, because I don't have a line that plays around that. The only line here, it just lands in a Purifier, is just play Purifier pass. I guess we could attack with Scavenger, because they're going to make it unable to block anyway. But I can force them to use the blood here so they run out and they only get the 1 good attack with them. And that's probably better than just like dealing 2 damage to them at random here. This isn't really a game we're going to outrace our opponent. This is a game we're going to try to out card draw our opponent with Purifier's effect. Draw out of this situation and stabilize. Ooh, Creepy Puppeteer is going to make that very, very hard. Anything they attack with alongside the Puppeteer will be a 4/3 as well. If they crack a blood, Scavenger can't block, and I can't block or kill anything. I can't even block and not kill something. Okay, they don't crack a blood. Oh yeah, they don't have any cards in hand. They can't crack a blood this turn. Okay, not the end of the world. We can kill the Puppeteer, so that's not going off anymore. But we're still worried about the Hypnotists, for sure. Alright, well, I would be pretty sad about my hand right now if I didn't have this Blood Token plus Purifier card draw combo. But we do have that combo, so let's get going here. Gain the life, draw the card, hit a Bloodseeker. That gives us a Blood Token in the end step. Thanks to its ability, we kind of have a 3-card, like, kind of nuts synergy here. Yeah, end step, we're now going to get another Blood Token, then draw a card. We have that Blood Token ready to use next turn to use with our Purifier. Alright, we can try to draw out of this one. With these 3 cards in conjunction, they can do some stuff. They can do some work. Uh-oh. Diagraph Scavenger. Well, that means they're not cracking a Blood Token this turn, which is nice. But Celebrants does get to attack pretty well. Because we could block with all 4, and then they kill Purifier. Killing Purifier is a pretty big deal, so I don't think I would block if they attack with Celebrants. Yeah, this is not great for us. Take 7 here. Could double block and kill a Hypnotist, but again, we'd lose Purifier, which I think is a big deal. We're going to play a 3/2 next turn, have a lot of blockers out. I think we can afford to not block there. Okay, what are we going to draw off of this Blood Token here? Let's find out. Alright, just a land. So we'll just be drawing in the end step and playing Archghoul. Yep, keep these in hand for the other Blood Tokens we get. Can't really attack in with Purifier to gain life because they just kill it with Scavenger without losing a creature. Which is also why we can't really flip the Bloodseeker, because the only way to flip it would be if we didn't crack that blood. If we didn't crack that blood, we wouldn't gain the life to get another one, so... The only way to flip Bloodseeker would have been to attack with Purifier and not crack the blood. That seems probably bad. So they're reading over our board here with the 2 Blood Tokens to sack to make some creatures unable to block. So Purifier and Guest cannot block here. Archghoul can still block, but discard the next card. None of our board can block, and we are dead to the Hypnotists. Oh, wait a sec. We're not technically dead to the Hypnotists, but we are dead on board. They trigger only once per turn. I didn't even know that. They only trigger the once per turn, so they would attack with everybody. We can't block Celebrants, so we would go block, block, take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They still have lethal either way, even without Ceremonial Knife. Because, yeah, double blocking Celebrants, bam, lethal over there, blocking there, bam, lethal over there. So they still had lethal, but not for the reason that I thought they did. So good to know for the future, the Hypnotist can only shut off 1 blocker per turn. But still, with 2 Hypnotists out, shutting off 2 blockers is a very big deal there. And it is absolutely going to close out the game for our opponent. We did learn something there, and luckily we learned something there in a game where we would have lost anyway. So I did not prematurely concede, even though I almost accidentally did. Opponent starts with turn 1 Lantern Bearer, seems pretty good. Mono blue so far. We get hit for 1. Could play Ancestor to try to outrace it with some life gain, but we're only taking 1 a turn. I think I'd rather play the Arch Ghoul first. So we are pressuring them with more damage than they're dealing to us. Another Lantern Bearer turn 3, alright. Come on in, little flying friends. Now we play an Ancestor and a Knife. Next turn we play a Heron Blessed Geist and we block Lantern Bearers all day long. Seems good to me. Fourth blue mana from our opponent and a Binding Geist for this turn. Not really attacking in well anymore, so we're going to have to imprison that Binding Geist. If they go Swamp and exploit the Geist away, we'll cry, but otherwise I think that's better than playing a Heron Blessed Geist this turn, because we'll hit them for 6, put them to 11, and then we can just play the Geist next turn. Plus we get a blood token doing this. This seems worth it to me. We just gain back all the life we just lost this game from Ancestor's damage. And there's the concession from our opponent, just stuck on mono blue that game, it looks like. So 2-1 now, as we head into round 4. I'm gonna eat some more potato soup. I have played 3 of these events. I did play 1 in the middle. Off recording, it was a 1-3. I O2'd at the start, so I just started eating potato soup in the middle of the recording. So I was like, I should probably not upload this one. So I decided to stop recording that one because it was pretty obnoxious. And it was also a 1-3, so not the most exciting thing ever. We got demolished by Hullbreaker Horror, Stensia Uprising, and one of the games was a really fair, hard-fought game and a very well-drafted deck from our opponent, but 2 of them it was just big, scary bomb that we could not deal with. So it was not the most interesting run there. It was a white-black deck, though, so this is my 3rd white-black deck in the Draft Arena Open. This is definitely my last Arena Open, though, probably. Because I've got work after this, unless I call out to play Magic. Like, hey, I haven't won the Arena Open Day 1 yet, so I'm going to call out. Sorry, Goody Mark. So Reckless Impulse hit a couple lands for our opponent, so if that's what they were digging for, then they did very well. Even if not, they get to just play the land off the Impulse, so they're at least drawing 1 card off of it. They can keep their extra land in hand for blood tokens, and red-black they are pretty much guaranteed to have blood tokens. We're off to a pretty good aggressive start here. With a 2-power creature turn 1. I got potato soup in my throat. It's all happening now. Oh my god, we have the ultimate Skulking Killer. Target creature opponent controls with -2/-2 if they control no other creatures. We did it! Actually living the Skulking Killer dream. This is the best Skulking Killer I've ever cast. Yeah, 2-power creature turn 2, 3-power creature turn 3, 4-power creature turn 4, while also killing their 1 blocker. Makes this an incredible aggressive start. Thank you very much, Skulking Killer. Putting in a massive amount of work. And now a Diregraph Scavenger from our opponent. We get to attack with everybody. Anything they block with is a trade. Hopefully they block the 3-2 or 4-2. If they block the Geist, I'm going to throw a Piercing Light at the Scavenger so the Geist stays on board. Alright, cool. And if they don't block the Geist, we just get to spend 5 and play a 3/3 flyer, which is awesome. Even better. Falcon Wrath Celebrants from our opponent. Piercing Light makes 2-for-1, anything 2-for-1 trade into that, so I think we keep attacking here. And just 2-for-1 ourselves into the Celebrants, get a Scry and a Surveil here. Alright, scry that away, see what we surveil off the Archghoul. Another land, put that in the grave. Basically a draw 2 there thanks to the scry plus surveil, so pretty nice. And we have a Blood Token with Gluttonous Guest to discard this swamp and draw another card. This is one of the very few instances where I will just crack the blood during their turn, because there's absolutely no reason to crack it right now. If I hit another land off the blood, I'm just going to keep it in my hand anyway. And if I hit an on-land, I won't be able to cast it. So, hold off on the blood there. So they're at 5 life, facing a 3-power flyer. Do they have removal for the Geist? If not, this could be lethal pretty quick. They do have Rending Flame to kill the Geist, but it doesn't exile it. We get to use its ability next turn. 4 mana, exile it from the grave, get 2 1/1 flyers. Start trying to kill our opponent with those. Seems very good to me. Ooh, so Garda's Imprisonment is the draw. We can just hit them for 3 instead of making 2 1/1s. Make 2 1/1 flyers or hit our opponent for 3. At 5 life, I think we hit our opponent for 3 here. Problem with this is if they cast Diregraph Scavenger, I get really got here. They exile the Geist, gain 2 life, and now they have walls against the Guest and Geist. It would be a Guest and a Geist just to confuse my brain. The brain scramble creatures on board here. Falcon Wrath Celebrants, well, that blocks that stuff, but Geist gets to get these 1/1 flyers. I'm going to do it right now. Don't give them any more opportunities to potentially hit a Diregraph Scavenger to exile that from my grave. And if they have not drawn removal, that's 2 damage on board in the sky. We'll see what they've got here. 3 cards in hand and 3 blood tokens out. They can dig for it if they don't have it. I would be surprised if we kill our opponent next turn. But I wouldn't be surprised if we win. We've still got a good shot even if they do clear out a flyer or 2. Alright, well, show me what you've got. If we attack with everybody, if they have 1 removal spell, we still win. Because they kill 1 flyer and everything else hits them. Yep, I think we attack all here. So we play around them having 1 instant. Alright, the GG. A little preemptive. They could maybe hit 2 cheap removal spells with blood tokens. 1 mana, 2 damage to something, and then 4 mana bleed dry. But I just wanted to... I like to GG back if somebody gives the GG. I don't know. I hate emotes because the whole etiquette of when to do them is so confusing. I have enough problems with real-world social etiquette to try to figure out when emotes are rude or not. Alright, if they draw the 1 mana 2 damage spell, they are still in it. Alright, unfortunately for our opponent, they did not draw that. They are going to crack the last blood, use the last of their mana. Just see what they would have drawn if they were 1 card deeper there. So that is now 2-1, I believe, heading into round 4. That is actually 3-1. My brain is jello. at this point. My apologies. 3-1 heading into round 5. I probably just completely forgot about the round against the opponent that basically got to cast nothing with their mana situation. That was kind of two of our opponents, the green-white-black player and the mono-blue. Alright, so round 5 now, 3-1 here. Lantern Bearer, turn 1 from our opponent. They are on the play. We get to drop down a Piercing Light turn 1 if we want, but I don't want to. Don't want to Piercing Light a Lantern Bearer, so I'll just pass through this. And then play our Twin Blade Geist for the maximum damage. If they have a Syncopate, that's sad, but it would also be bad if they Syncopate Bloodseeker, so just go for the more aggressive attacker. More damage on the board. So we are playing against a blue-white. Blue-white can be a scary matchup. They have a lot of Disturb cards to bring back from the grave, which can be scary or irritating depending on your outlook on life. Maybe even both. So hit for 2. We have tied it up. Now we play an Ancestor. Do they have the counterspell? Now. Now they are open to the 3-mana counter creature spell, but it looks like they don't have that, so Ancestor hits the board. Ready to get in there as well. 4 mana now from our opponent. Parasitic Grasp looking pretty bad here. We need another Swamp before we can even cast it, because they don't have any human creatures on the board. But we don't need to cast it yet, so could be good. Yeah, we hit the Swamp before we've ever needed to cast it, so it all works out. Play the Swamp, attack in, then cast a Socialite. See if we draw removal out of them before they potentially counter our Socialite. I keep saying they could counter something, but they haven't had a counterspell all game. We don't know what's in hand, so probably not countering Socialite. Yep, no counterspell there either. Well, I'm feeling pretty good. Ancestor makes racing really good for us. Maybe the hand's just all lands. No idea here. If it's a lot of 5 and 6 mana cards, they could definitely overwhelm us. We don't have any removal that hits big stuff. I see. The Wrath effect makes sense, but luckily with Twin Blade Geist and Kindly Ancestor, the Wrath doesn't hit us that badly. It's still not a good time, but Ancestor Geist to make sure we still have stuff to do after a Wrath is really nice. I'll hold on to this blood to maybe trigger the Bloodseeker or just draw the card here. I'd probably just draw the card here. Alright, another Swamp. I could see an argument for Ancestor's Embrace on the Bloodseeker, but it's going to be a really small lifelinker, so I want to see if they play any bigger creatures first. If they just play a Lantern Bearer, I mean, maybe we do Embrace the Bloodseeker. Although now we have a 3/2 to Embrace instead, so we'll just get that on the board and hold up Parasitic Grasp mana. See if Bloodseeker gets in for 1. Yeah, it doesn't look horrible. Like, we got Wrathed and we're still winning the race right now. But that is going to be really important to remember in white. Again, if our opponent suspiciously plays absolutely nothing, could play around a Wrath. It is a rare though, so I feel like statistically more often than not your opponent just has a bunch of lands in hand than Wrath. If they're playing suspiciously like that, not playing anything. But I don't know. It's hard on Arena, because on Arena, I guess if their turns aren't like just passing really fast, if they aren't just immediately giving you your turn, then maybe it does mean they have the option to cast stuff, but they're thinking, maybe I don't want to cast it, maybe I want to move into the Wrath. Something to consider, how highly we want to play around a Wrath in the future. Alright, we have a Piercing Light and Parasitic Grasp if they try to do some wombo combo block here, so I'm just going to get in. Also not going to disturb anything here yet, because they're going to do something weird. I don't want to like disturb Ancestor onto Thraben and have them Piercing Light it, if that's what they're going for on the block. Yeah, or Fierce Retribution it, any of that stuff. So we accept that, nothing we can do to that. See what we have on top. If it's a land, get on out of here. Yeah, get out of my life. Plains. Tired of people asking me if I want a timeshare. Okay. Imprisonment and Parasitic Grasp are the options. I don't think I want to do either of these. And Grasp is instant speed, so now we could just throw Ancestor onto Bloodseeker, or Geist onto Bloodseeker, to make it a bigger threat. With Ancestor, we get a blood every turn. With Geist, we get 1 more damage every turn. I think I want to just Ancestor it. Doesn't seem like spectacular, but the fact that it combos well with its ability and we don't have any bigger threat to throw lifelink on anyway. We'll save the double strike for the bigger threat, potentially. It's kind of weird. Just doing that because our other option is to do just stone cold nothing. So this way we start getting blood tokens every turn, which is good. Once we get 2 of them, it does turn into a 3/3, so it does become the bigger threat. Heron Blessed Geist is really nice here. If they hold Break or Horror us, we lose. Because we can Sigarda's Imprison it, but then they can just cast any spell, put Imprisonment back in our hand. So there's really no playing around Hullbreaker Horror. If your opponent has Hullbreaker Horror in their deck, they just win the match, pretty much. Because, yeah, like, we'd have to Imprisonment and have the 5 mana to exile it. See, I don't think we're playing around Hullbreaker Horror. Let's just play our Geist and hold up Piercing Light and cross our fingers here. Opponent having 8 mana up, though, and having something in hand is terrifying me. I really don't want to get domed by another Hullbreaker Horror. Alright, oh, okay. I don't know why they put the Fear of God in me there. Kindly Ancestor. It's actually quite nice here. I'm probably going to grasp that. Just get rid of their lifelink. Okay, well now I can't grasp it. I guess we're going to imprison it. Because we want to speed up the clock on our opponent. As much as we can. Yeah. Again, though, the one thing I don't love is... now I don't have an imprisonment for a bigger, bombier card, but I can also kill my opponent very quickly if I imprison here. So I think it's all fine. It's all fine and dandy. I'm going to spread out my threats here. If I throw Double Strike onto the Geist, they just chump block it with Lantern Bearer this turn. If I throw Double Strike on the Bloodseeker, I maybe hit them for 5 this turn. And then the Bloodseeker flips in the end step, so it's gonna be just as much damage as the Geist would be next turn. Because next turn it's going to be a 3/3 lifelink double strike instead of a 3/3 flying double strike. So this way we have 2 very big threats instead of just 1. Yeah, and I'm glad I did that, because then, you know, all the eggs in one basket and Geist goes away and we cry. I'm still sad about this one going away, but not as sad as I would have been if I was all in on Geist. So they have 1 card left in hand. We have a Parasitic Grasp and Piercing Light and a Blood Token. And the better board state. See if we can get through this one here. But Blue-White has some good cards they could have to get out of this. Particularly card draw in blue would be very threatening to us this late in the game. The 4 mana, look at the top 4 cards of the library, draw 2 of them, and mill 2 of them would be really, really good in their deck. Because then they draw any non-disturb cards and throw the disturb cards into the grave. Get a ton of value there, get right back into it. You can keep your Lantern Bearer. If I need to kill this to stop it from blocking, I'll just use Parasitic Grasp that turn. Because any turn it attacks in, I just crack back at them. Once they actually hold it to block, I grasp it and then attack, so I still get to hold on to Piercing Light for dear life. Probably going to exile this Ancestor just so we know they can't exploit it and get some crazy combos. So probably cast Minister, exile that in their end step, holding up Parasitic Grasp in the meantime. Seems nice. Get on out here, Traveling Minister. And pass the turn. Yeah. Heron of Hope is very good for our opponent. We're probably grasping that instead of the Lantern Bearer then. And I suppose that means I am not going to exile the Ancestor this turn, because I would rather grasp that ASAP. And then my mana's all open for whatever I want to do next turn. Including cracking a blood token if I draw land, and then casting something afterwards. Nice. So that is out of the way. We will draw for turn. Ooh, Gluttonous Guest. Pretty good. Pretty good. So now I did end up using the Grasp on their other creature. But had we Piercing Lighted Lantern Bearer earlier, then they could maybe have this as a 3/4 sometime if we tapped out to exile that to Imprisonment. I don't know. Maybe in the grand scheme of things it would have been better to Piercing Light earlier, because then they wouldn't get that block off this turn. And I suppose if they tried to slap the +1/+1 onto the Heron of Hope, we could just shoot it in response. Alright, as long as they don't have a second Wrath. Looking pretty fantastic on the board. When's the last time I played a land? I probably have been playing a little bit too many lands, because now I don't have anything to do with my blood tokens. But maybe not. Dreadlight Monstrosity, not that scary. We still just kill in the sky. We're at 21 life. Seems good to me. Oh, wait, no, they can give it flying. Alright, well, we're going to need some removal. What do I have in the deck again? I have another Sigarda's Imprisonment, mainly. Yep, that's what we're looking for. Another Sigarda's Imprisonment, or just more creatures to go wide here. I guess 4 damage off Geist, 2 from Piercing Light. We just 2-for-1 ourselves to kill it. It's got to be worth it. When they have 1 card in hand, we'd clear the board that way. Yeah, no, we probably 2-for-1 ourselves to kill the monstrosity here. Innocent Traveler as well. Excellent. We really want to exile Ancestor before we put this on the board, because then they get to sack it, and they get the Ancestor's Embrace to put on something later. We really don't want them to get life gain, so we don't want to cast Traveler right now, but it's going to be good in the future. Okay. I think we're going for the kill on Dreadlight Monstrosity this turn. Or they block Guest and go to 1. Okay, cool. So yeah, we get to kill Monstrosity and get 2 1/1 flyers here. Because Geist will be in our graveyard where we can use that ability for 4. Cool. 4 damage on board, 4 life for our opponent, and there's the concession. Did not hit a draw spell there. We are now 4-1. So we're going to do at least as well as we did in the first Arena Open Day 1 event, where I went 4-3 in that video. We'll see how we do this time. I guess spoilers, but I'm assuming you've watched the first one if you're watching the second one. Unless I decide to make some clickbait titles. But I've never done that before, so I don't know. I don't know what I'd even clickbait here. Trying to earn $2,500 playing Magic. I don't know, something like that. We've got Grasp and Traveler, which is cool, but I'm gonna mulligan. Super Keep here. Point of discussion to draw into the next lands for the Geist, so we get rid of 1. If we just start drawing lands, we just play Purifier turn 3 instead, because we don't need to dig. And also, if our opponent plays too aggressively, we'll also just play the Purifier. No aggro from our opponent, again, as I consume potato soup like a professional commentator. Well, that's counter magic mana. A Minister with a Knife is not that much worse than Purifier when we're not going to have the mana to start drawing cards yet. The Jehovah's Witnesses are at the door. What do you say? Now it's a Jehovah's Witness with a knife. Are you worried yet, Lara? Oh, they seem kind of worried. They're holding on this one. Yeah, that's fair. Minister's starting to look a little bit like a cultist. Got to get that out of here. They don't want to mess with that at all. They've seen Hereditary. I guess Midsummer is more culty than Hereditary is. Cruel Witness. Pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty great on this board. We'll just play our Geist and trade with it, though. If they're out of removal, but they're probably not. They probably have like a Bleed Dry or something. Could use Purifier and hope that that draws Bleed Dry out so that Geist remains, trades with Cruel Witness, and then we get some flyers out of it. Even just 1/1 flyers are good when we've got a knife on board. I mean, we killed our opponent with 1/1 flyers last game, so just 1/1 flyers period are good. If I'm being fair. So they have 5 mana up. They have the Cruel Witness. They could hit us, but if they hit us and they don't have a creature to follow up, Purifier does win the race because it would be a 3/3 lifelinker with the knife. Ooh, play a Whispering Wizard. Do I want to trade Purifier into their Cruel Witness? Kind of, because like my Minister's dead. I only have like 1 more Minister. Most of my ways to gain life are gone. Yeah, they're like Kindly Ancestor and stuff that I need to attack in for. I don't know how likely I am to draw other life again. I guess I could point a discussion and see what happens. Because if I'm going to spend 2 to throw a knife on Purifier, I'm not going to have the mana to play Geist anyway. Really don't want to get demolished by this wizard, so I love holding up a white for Piercing Light, though. I kind of like equip Knife onto Purifier, play the land to draw the card in the end step if they don't trade, and then just hold up a Piercing Light to kill their wizard when they try to attack me with it. Kind of feels like where I'm at here. Could be wrong, but I just don't see Markov Purifier really going off this game. I will immediately draw all of my life gain cards, which will be funny. I'm going to play this land so we know we have 5 mana for Geist next turn. If we want to draw a card off of a Blood Token, we can do it next turn. I'm just going to hold up Piercing Light. Maybe they won't see it coming and they'll attack with the Whispering Wizard. But they could have like a Cradle at this point for +1/+1 hexproof at instant speed to save it. Hopefully not. But this is our best opportunity for Piercing Light to do something this game. Thirst for Discovery. Does not save the wizard, but they do it in response so they get the 1/1 flyer. I love how I said I did not... I stopped recording the second one of these because I just kept eating potato soup, and here I am with the potato soup in my life. Alright. I like Pointed Discussion to draw land then play Ancestor, but if I Pointed Discussion then I don't draw land, I'm crying because I can't cast anything else after this. So do we just run out the Geist? I really feel like if they had Bleed Dry by now, they would have just Bleed Dried the Purifier a long time ago, but they did just draw 3 more cards here. And they're going to draw another in their end step, so there's 4 cards they didn't know about when they chose not to Bleed Dry the Purifier. So if any of those are removal, they just kill Geist and live the dream. Especially if it's Bleed Dry where it exiles it. You know, I'm going to get greedy here in Pointed Discussion, hoping for a land. And greed is always right, kids. Because Kindly Ancestor's on the board and it vastly outraces the Spirit, which means if they don't have another good creature to play, it is good enough to draw removal, especially with a Ceremonial Knife on our board. Which makes it more likely that these 2 flyers could stay. Another Whispering Wizard. Hate that. Not a fan of that at all. 7 mana here? Could be 5 to play Geist and 2 to equip a knife. Do we play Geist over the Traveler? We might play Traveler over the Geist, because Traveler is going to be a 5/3 flyer. I think I'm going to play Traveler over the Geist, and that way I don't have to play the land either, so I might be able to use these blood tokens in the future. If they really go off with Whispering Wizard, they can just keep sacking the 1/1 spirits to the Traveler, but then it's still accomplishing a good deal, just getting rid of a bunch of 1/1 flyers. Diver Scab. Just slow down the Innocent Traveler here, I guess. Yeah, that's one of the better draws in my deck here. We'll keep it. Replay it and use the blood. Or just play Geist and use the blood, either way. Works fine. Guess we use the blood before anything else to see what we hit. And this costs double black, so I'll use a white here, actually. What do we hit? Ooh, Diregraph Scavenger. Get rid of a wizard in their graveyard so they don't, like, Blood Fountain and all of a sudden have 2 wizards on the board. Probably not right. I probably want to play the flyer here. I'm gonna actually play the more expensive flyer here because they also can't they can't keep it from flipping if they cast some draw spells or whatever random non-creature stuff they have. Now they need specifically removal to stop the Geist. Although I guess if they do cast a bunch of non-creature spells to shut off the Traveler from flipping, they can also just use the 1/1 spirits to chump block the Geist instead of stopping the Traveler from flipping. Mirror Hall Mimic's a very bad sign. Yeah, that's incredibly annoying. On the Diver Scab, make us skip our next turn again. 5 mana 3/5, take an extra turn after this one. Seems pretty good. Oh, they attack with Wizard here. I'll take it. I'll take the trade. Okay. Kind of like Diregraph Scavenger, honestly, so we have a Death Toucher to kill one of these 3/5s. But I also like the ability to exile Mirror Hall Mimic from their graveyard if it dies in a turn when they can't immediately recast it. If I play Innocent Traveler, they probably choose to sack the Mirror Hall Mimic, but they have to sack it during our upkeep. So I could maybe surprise them here, where they sack the Mirror Hall Mimic during their upkeep so they can disturb it. But then since they sacked it during our upkeep, we can then just cast Diregraph Scavenger and exile it from their grave. That actually seems nice to me. And then I have the mana to throw the knife on the Traveler. We'll see. There's a Diregraph Scavenger of theirs. There goes my lifelink. Let's see if we get them here. Nope. They're going to sack a Binding Geist now. Unfortunately, they still had a boatload of follow-up plays, so the whole Diver Scab combo not going to happen. Yep, they're just going to turn into a 4/3 flyer even, because they have enough on board to outrace us. Hit them for 4 a turn in the sky, guaranteed, but they're at 22. Probably play Geist here, crack some blood. Traveling Minister is not horrible. But we played the Geist instead, rather than Scavenger Minister. Alright, we're doing our best here. There's been some great blue-black tempo from our opponent, though. Double Diver Scab, that was the real death knell this game. And there's the Bleed Dry. The card we were trying to avoid our Geist running into all game, and then here it is. Running into the Bleed Dry. Quartermaster. We need to block everything to not die, though, unless we play a Scavenger. So we go Minister, Scavenger, we gain 2. We need to be ready to block a lot. Then we can play Quartermaster next turn. So we're at 3 life now. 3 blockers is just barely enough to survive. We cannot afford to attack. We block everything but the scavenger and then go to 1. The Geist gets to shut off our scavenger's powers so it doesn't do any damage, and 1 removal spell will do it. And I am not going to respond to the offensive GG. I was about to do the losing the game GG there, but then they GG'd first, so I was like, alright, whatever. The GG has been said. 4 and 2. Heading into round 7. On the play here with a nice aggressive turn 2 play, some Bloodseeker for later if we get some life gain going on. Ooh, a Vampire Slayer turn 2 also. I might prefer that over the Geist. I guess Geist is more expendable. And we'll Geist here. I like just having bigger stats straight up. But oh yeah, Geist works really well if our opponent plays a 1/1. So that pans out. I mean, that being said, so does a 2/2. A 2/2 just blocks it, so it doesn't really matter. I'm going to play Bloodseeker here now, I think. Well, no, we'll keep aggressive, keep playing the highest power creature we can, because it still blocks the Cat Geist without dying, just like the 1/3 would. Undead Butler, 1/2 from our opponent. Mills 3 gets a 2/2 into their graveyard, so if Undead Butler dies, they put a 2/2 into their hand. But later they could put a better creature back. So now they block Geist with the Butler. They could block Vampire Slayer with both, but then we kill Cat Geist, but then they have the Aura to throw onto something. Just play Bloodseeker and pass. I feel like if Butler goes off right now, that's not the end of the world. Trade Slayer for Butler, get that ability out of the way, and they just get a 2/2 to their hand. That seems pretty fine. I think I'm going to attack with a Vampire Slayer and Vampire Slayer alone. Alright, here's the Bloodseeker for the doubly blocks. Biolume Egg from our opponent, so when they play an exploit card that will be terrifying, get the exploit trigger off and get a 4/4 onto the board. 5 mana Nebelgast Beguiler now. We don't attack into a 0/4 egg particularly well, so I think that's what we're doing. We'll be using a pointed discussion next turn. And they have 4 cards in hand in this blue-black deck. Would be surprised if they can't exploit this egg somehow. Well, looks like they passed turn, maybe holding up just counter magic here or something. I say that every game and counters are rarely ran. I'll go for the pointed discussion here and see what happens. Do they counter the draw spell? No. Well, digs me out of this mana clump, which is good. We'll blood token away a land. We have the mana to Piercing Light and use Beguiler to tap something down. I think in their end step I'll tap down the egg so we can start attacking again, probably. Play an Arch School later. Ooh, Scattered Thoughts is very good for our opponent. Dig 4 cards deep. Grab the 2 best cards, throw them in the hand, and the rest into the grave. Alright, just passing turn again, it looks like. Play an Arch School here. Still only have 2/2s in their grave for the Butler, so see if we get that ability out of the way here. We did manage to just do a couple damage to them. I'm pretty cool with that. Oh. So counter the Arch School if they want? Sack the Undead Butler to do so? Yeah, that seems very good. And now they have a 3/3 flyer on the board. Uh-oh. Overcharged Amalgam coming in hot. Oh yeah, they have the Biolume egg still too. There's the exploit card to exploit the egg. That seems very, very good. Because now they have the 3/3 flyer and a 4/4 out. Things are looking very bad now. I think we stop more damage tapping down the Serpent than the Amalgam. We tap down the Amalgam, but then we take Serpent damage because we can't double block it well. Yeah, I think we actually tap down Serpent and take 4. Tap down the Serpent, take 3. Gain 4 life, basically. Oh, no. Well, it looks like it is going to end the run here. Dreadfeast Demon for the second 4-3. We are not going to day 2. The Arena Draft Open, unfortunately. Just gonna get it handed to us by the Dreadfeast Demon this game. Game was already not looking super up for us. Just had some of our little mediocre creatures. Not much going on for us here. But Dreadfeast Demon very much locks us out entirely. So that'll be 2 4-3 runs for the Arena Draft Open and a 1-3, so perfectly average. Can balance that out to 3 3-3 runs I've done. But 2 4-3s for the videos, so unfortunately, that is going to end the Arena Draft Open, the first Arena Draft Open event for me. I do have to get to work. I could call out, I'm not gonna lie, I could call out and do even more attempts, but I think 3 attempts, 2 4-3s and a 1-3. I really do not want to throw more gems at this because this is a very expensive event. That is one thing really to keep in mind here. It is a 5,000 gem investment every time you play, which is about $25 worth of gems. So I've essentially spent $75 of gems just to hang out and play a few Premier drafts. But 'tis the life. That was my personal decision, trying to get to day 2 for a super cool video for you all, but I did not make it, did not have the skill or the decks to do so. Definitely made a few misplays during both of these videos that May have cost us a little bit, but I think this draft or the first draft, I don't think these were destined for a 7-win run. They're pretty good decks. I think we ended up in the right color pairs. The issue, probably the biggest issue with this deck, is we do have a couple more mediocre fillery kind of cards like Piercing Light. If you could swap out like a Piercing Light, maybe a Beguiler or something for just 2 random on-color bombs, I think this might be a potential 7-win deck, but I think both drafts, I think both draft videos we've ended up with a deck with 0 rares or mythics. I might be wrong on the first one. It has been a little while since I played that, but yeah, just a consistent pile of good commons and uncommons, a peasant deck, if you'd like to call it that. The peasant format. Pauper's all commons, peasant is commons and uncommons. Still had a good time either way. It was some fun games of Magic, some wild games for sure, some long, hard-fought Magic, so I don't want to say that I just threw all my gems in the trash, like I said the first time. Looking back on it in hindsight, still glad I got that experience, got to play with some competitive players like that, and had a fun time overall with a decent record, decent win rate. But that is going to end the Arena Open videos. I will be back again very soon with some more Magic, probably maybe a little bit of Brawl, Historic Brawl specifically, and some more Premier drafts, but I do have to get to work tonight, so I'm just going to stop with the Arena Open stuff and actually be financially responsible, not choose to call out of work to spend more money. That seems like probably a bad idea. So yeah, once again, thank you all very much for watching. If you're looking for more high-level competitive gameplay, I will have more of that around December 16th. The weekend around that time is the Mythic Championship Qualifier. That is the event that you get into by being top 1200 Mythic. I did hit top 1200 limited Mythic last season, so I get to play another high-stakes Innistrad Crimson Vow Premier Draft format anyway, just a couple weekends from now. So there will be more competitive drafting, even if it's not going to be tomorrow for the Arena Open Day 2, unfortunately. So we'll have another high-stakes event there, and in the meantime, might play a little Historic Brawl. We'll probably, almost definitely, play a few more Premier drafts of Crimson Vow for a little more practice before that event, and outside of that, just stay tuned on the channel. You're at the right place to see some more Magic Arena limited gameplay. So thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.